Your phone just buzzed. That vibration? It's not magic. It's a magnet the size of a grain of rice, made from an element you can't pronounce, dug out of a hole controlled almost entirely by one country. Now look around. Your headphones, your car, the MRI machine that once told your family good news, the wind turbine spinning on the horizon, quietly keeping the lights on, the missile guidance system inside a fighter jet you'll pray you never need. Every single one of them depends on the same 17 elements, and one country controls almost all of it. This isn't science fiction. This is the least hypothetical what if I've ever made, because we're already living inside it. First, let's kill the misleading name. Rare earths aren't rare. They're more common in the Earth's crust than gold, more common than silver. If you handed a geologist a shovel, they could find them almost anywhere. The real bottleneck isn't digging them up. It's what comes after. Rare earth elements come out of the ground tangled together in a radioactive toxic soup, bonded with thorium and uranium. Separating them requires hundreds of chemical steps, oceans of acid, and years of environmental cleanup. That nobody wants happening in their backyard. That's the choke point, not the resource, the refining. And refining is exactly where the trap was set. Rewind to the 1980s. America was actually the king of rare earths. One mine in California, Mountain Pass, supplied most of the free world. Then two things collided. The West tightened environmental laws because processing this stuff is filthy and dangerous. And China made a quiet, ruthless decision that would rewrite the balance of global power for the next 40 years. The Middle East has oil, Deng Xiaoping is said to have declared. China has rare earths. While Washington was busy protecting rivers and drafting safety regulations, Beijing was subsidizing mines, ignoring the toxic runoff, and torching prices so low that no Western company could survive. Mountain Pass shut down in 2002. Game over. Before anyone realized there was a game. By the time anyone in Washington or Brussels looked up from their spreadsheets, China didn't just mine more rare earths, they owned the entire pipeline. Today, China accounts for roughly 60 to 70% of global mining. But that number is the decoy. The real number is this. China controls over 90% of global refining capacity, over 90% of the world's permanent magnet production, the magnets inside EV motors, missile systems, wind turbines. You could dig rare earth ore out of the ground in Australia, in the United States, in Ukraine, even in Turkey, which sits on the second largest reserves on the planet. And you would still, almost certainly, have to ship that raw dirt across the world to China just to turn it into something usable. That's not a monopoly on a resource. That's a monopoly on the only door the resource is allowed to walk through, and someone else is holding the key. So what happens when one country owns the only door on Earth? They decide who gets to walk through it, and what it costs them. In 2010, the world got its first live demonstration. After a diplomatic clash with Japan over a fishing boat collision, China didn't issue a formal ban. They didn't need to. Shipments to Japan simply stopped clearing customs. No paperwork, no explanation, just silence. Japanese manufacturers panicked. Prices on certain rare earth elements spiked over 500% in months. The message landed with brutal clarity. Rare earths aren't a commodity. They're a weapon that doesn't look like one. Japan spent the next decade trying to escape that dependency. It never fully did. Now rewind to today, because the lever is being pulled again, and this time the stakes are civilization-sized. In the past 2 years, China has slapped export controls on 7 categories of rare earth materials, with active discussion in Beijing about extending licensing to 12 of the 17 elements. But here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. These rules don't stop at China's border. They follow the product. If something manufactured in Germany, South Korea, or the United States contains even a trace of Chinese origin rare earth material, Beijing claims the legal right to block its export anywhere in the world. Imagine owning a farm on the opposite side of the planet, but still needing a phone call approved from a man you've never met, because 30 years ago you bought 1 bag of his fertilizer. That's why, in 2026, you watched an unusual pilgrimage unfold. The President of the United States flew to Beijing. Days later, so did the President of Russia. Not for photo ops, for rocks. Because both men know the uncomfortable truth sitting underneath every polite diplomatic statement. You cannot build a modern military, a modern power grid, or a modern economy without this exact supply chain. And right now, there is exactly one door, and China is standing in the frame with the key in their pocket. Let's make this painfully specific because rare earth elements sounds abstract until you realize it's everywhere you look. Neodymium and dysprosium build the strongest permanent magnets known to industry, inside every Tesla motor, every offshore wind turbine, where a single turbine can swallow over a ton of rare earth magnets. Inside precision-guided missiles, inside the F-35, which alone contains roughly 900 pounds of rare earth material, meaning the most advanced fighter jet on the planet is, quite literally, held together by a supply chain one geopolitical decision away from freezing. Terbium and europium light up the color on your phone screen right now. Cerium polishes the glass you're staring through. There is no version of the clean energy transition, the AI hardware race, or modern national defense that skips these 17 elements. Whoever controls them doesn't just control an industry, they control the speed at which every other industry on Earth is allowed to breathe. And here's the part that should really sit with you, because this was never really a story about rocks. It's a story about what happens when the world outsources something critical for the sake of being cheap and only notices the bill decades later. China didn't win this race because they had better deposits. The reserves were scattered across the globe the entire time. The United States has them. Australia has them. Vietnam has them. Turkey sits on the second largest known reserves on the planet, mostly untouched. China won because they were willing to do the one job nobody else wanted: the dirty, toxic, unglamorous middle step: refining. And that's the pattern behind almost every real monopoly in history. It rarely starts with someone having something nobody else has. It starts with someone doing the ugly work everyone else refuses to touch. Until one day, they own the only bridge left standing, and they get to charge whatever toll they want. So picture it tightening further. China extends licensing to all 17 elements, enforces the extraterritorial rule without mercy. Electric vehicle production stalls because automakers can't source motors. Wind and solar build-outs freeze mid-construction, blowing through climate targets governments already promised the public. Your next phone costs more. Your next laptop costs more. And defense budgets explode overnight as nations scramble to build refining capacity from zero, a process that takes 10 to 15 years and billions of dollars, even when every government on Earth suddenly agrees it's an emergency. Which is exactly why the race is on right now, quietly, expensively, behind the headlines. The United States restarted Mountain Pass, pouring money into domestic refining for the first time in over 2 decades. Australia is racing to build processing capacity as a genuine alternative supply chain. And Turkey has announced industrial-scale rare earth processing beginning in 2026. Not because the resource was ever missing, but because, like almost everyone else, Turkey spent 40 years without the one capability China spent 40 years perfecting. Here's the uncomfortable truth this entire video keeps circling back to. This "what if" was never really hypothetical. It's a slow-motion event that already happened, just spread across 4 decades instead of compressed into one dramatic headline. There was no single moment where China took over rare earths. There were 1,000 quiet decisions. Subsidize this mine, ignore that regulation, undercut this rival, made patiently while the rest of the world looked away. That's how the most dangerous monopolies are actually built. Not with a bang, with decades of boring, toxic infrastructure that nobody else wanted to touch, until it was too late to touch it themselves. So the next time your phone buzzes in your pocket, or you see a wind turbine turning on the horizon, or a headline announces a shiny new EV factory, remember it all traces back through the same narrow single door. 17 elements, one country holding the key, and a race happening right now while you read this to see whether the rest of the world can build a second door before the first one slams shut, for good.